So my name is Faraaz Khan, and my squash level is about a 5.75, about a 5.77.
How'd you get into squash, and what are your current kind of goals, aspirations in the near term?
So how I got into squash was that originally I was a tennis player, and my brother, he used to play everything, and he tried out squash and he loved it. And at a point, my dad said, "Okay, you got to choose one sport, and this is going to be your sport." So then I said, "Okay, well, I haven't tried out many options. I tried badminton, I tried baseball, I tried basketball. They weren't really suiting me." And I tried squash, and the moment like I stepped on court, I just like felt a connection, and I really love the sport, right? So.
When did you first start playing like competitively? What was your first tournament?
My first tournament was bronze in Canada. I specifically remember it was the Ontario Lake, and it was an interesting tournament because I hadn't done too well, but I just remember having a blast with my dad. You know, he was my coach, and he was coaching me out there, and he was giving me a lot of advice, and it was just a fun time to be there. So yeah.
Circle. So what's it been like, having siblings that are strong players as well, and having family that's super into it and they travel with you to tournaments and all that stuff? What's it been like?
Well, I would say it's actually fantastic because not only do you get a sparring partner, but you got this healthy competition against them. Like whenever I rival with my brother or we're playing matches, we're always gonna see like who pulls out on top, and who's gonna be like, and we always put targets on our head, like how many boxes are we gonna hit, how many lengths are we gonna hit, that's gonna go in the target, and it's just a blast, hitting around and talking about matches and getting their viewpoints, sharing mine.
It's the first time you heard about the NSL, and what's something that kind of stands out to you about it, and why did you want to be involved?
So the first time that I heard about the NSL was when Nick Matthew, David Palmer, and all of these players, they were getting together and they were being hosted. And I just thought this is like an amazing event. I loved it, and I thought, why don't we bring this in a junior level, and why don't we compete? Why aren't we being included in this, right? So then I thought that why don't we do this? Why don't we collaborate, and why don't we fix something together? And here we are.
Yeah, so what did you actually go to that Legends match in person, or did you get to see it online? Or?
Unfortunately, I was out of town, but I did see a lot of the clips online, and some of my friends they shared it with me, and I just thought it was a blast. So yeah.
So let's get into the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So what's it called? What's its purpose? Are you nervous about leading something that's important and impactful? Like it's got to be a lot. How does this feel? Tell me about it.
So the foundation name is Khan Squash Growth Foundation, and really the purpose is in the name. We want to grow squash on an international level, and a national one too, in the U.S. And the main purpose, there are three purposes. First is academics, second is employment, and third is athletics. So for athletics, we want to work on scholarships. We want to work on helping those athletes who need a little bit of help and to get that help for them. In terms of academics, we want to make sure that each individual athlete is excelling in their academics, and that's not something that's holding them back into pursuing their dream. And employment, obviously, along with this, there's going to be like a bunch of departments and some jobs here, so that's going to create a lot of employment opportunities, and not just for my age, because heading this organization, I've actually never felt more excited. This is something that I'm passionate about. This is something that I really want to do, and this is something that I'm inspired to do, and I'm looking forward to it.
I'm fascinated that you're so successful at such a young age, and it's really impressive to see. But yeah, where do you see this going?
Well, in my opinion, I do want to hold on to this for a while. Obviously, we don't know what the future holds, but in my mind, I see it pretty clearly as to where I want to be in those few years, which is developing and building the squash and collaborating more with Arlen Specter Center, with Nick Taylor, with Josh Taylor. We want to collaborate with all these major foundations and major people, and we want to build our name more so that squash really gets out there, and we want to really grow the sport and grow the athletes as well as it.
Awesome. What are your thoughts on the first ever junior all-star game? Like, do you want to play in it yourself someday? Who do you think, like, who are you excited to watch play this year? Any thoughts on uniforms? Give us all the thoughts. What are you thinking?
So let's start with the most important thing, uniforms, because that I know that's a big thing. So for uniforms, I'm picturing white collared shirts. And then black collared shirts. We'll put the logo either on the front or the back, and opposing on that, we'll put NSL on there too. And I think that's sort of the layout I want to give. So like black will be one team, white will be the other team. So obviously, I do want to participate in this tournament. I do see myself doing it, and this is something that I really do want to participate in. But obviously, I'm very excited to see my brother play in it, and a lot of other players. I know Charlotte Pastel is playing. I know Jack Oriani is playing. Well, I really want to see all of these major players, these top 5 athletes in the country, and see how they battle it out. What are their mental strategies? What are their game tactics? How each one of them coach each other, and what really lays it out.
Nick Taylor coaching one of the teams, and Karim Ibrahim coaching the other team. Who do you think is going to be the better coach, and why?
That's a tough one. Me personally, I work with both of them, and I just feel like both of them bring their own strengths. And I feel like it's either going to be a dogfight on court, or it's going to be like one of those really tactical and mental battles. But for me, I can't say which one is going to be better. But I want to see how it plays out, because I know it's going to be a dogfight on court.
Your favorite squash player, and why they're your favorite squash player?
I would say my favorite squash player is.
Any era. Yeah.
I'll choose this era. I will choose Ali Farag. I know this is what obviously a very common one, but for me the purpose behind that is I just feel like he's such a chill guy. Like me personally, like he's relaxed, he's composed. Whenever he's on court, he's like no pressure. He's like, I'm gonna play well. If I don't, I'll work on a few things. He is like, I feel like he's one person who's very composed and calm on court, and he's very smart and tactical in what he's doing on court. So I feel like he's one of my favorite players.
It's a good answer. He's a great guy off the court as well. All right, and then I want to know who's your favorite NSL team?
NSL team will be.
And there'll be some more coming out this year, so I guess we won't hold you to it if you pick one of last year's teams.
Probably New York Knights. And that's just because that was the first team I've ever heard of, and I just feel like I've been in New York for a little bit, and I just feel like I just connect with that team a little bit more, so that's why.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Faraaz, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
And we're gonna talk to your brother, and then we'll get you guys both together.
Sounds good.